All right. I was just testing the mic. That's a good crowd. Well, hello and welcome everyone to the 2024-5 Leadership Symposium. Let's give one big round of applause. So how many of you here are from class of 2025? Let's hear it. All right, maybe the juniors are awake. Juniors, where are you at? All right, I think it's better. Are there more juniors, maybe? I don't know. All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Andy Robles. I am the Executive Director here at Simon Scholars. And first of all, I want to go ahead and welcome you all once again. I know it's going to be a hot couple of days, both figuratively and literally. So I will not be offended if you're giving yourself a little bit of a fan, because I know it's a little bit warm. Let's see, who do we have here from Garden Grove? Raise your hand, give me some hollers. Okay, not a lot, not a lot. What about Santa Ana? Oh. Oh. Who am I missing? Anaheim. Anaheim's got it. Anaheim's got the spice. What about La Habra? There's not a lot of you guys, so I just wanted to single it out. Who am I missing? What other cities am I missing? Dana Point. All right. I knew there was only one Dana Point person, so I also wanted to poke fun. All right, well, obviously we're still waking up, we're still digesting our food, so we can go ahead and begin. I want to go ahead and tell you what I'm talking about today. This is the first sort of sit down that we're having, and then you're gonna start a whole 2.5-day adventure. What I wanted to do today is give you a little bit of background about the history of our program, how we came to be at this point in our existence as a Simon Scholars program. I want to talk a little bit about why we're here, what this Leadership Symposium is going to be about this year, even if you were here last year. I want to talk a little bit about expectations. What does it mean? What is expected of a Simon Scholar, both here at this event, where we're going to be staying overnight and on a big college campus and using a new app, and what does it mean to show what it is to be a true Simon Scholar with behavior and respect and integrity. And then just a couple more details about the program, and then we'll move on to our first session, where we'll split our seniors and our juniors up. Sound good? All right, good. So, first off, the Simon Family Foundation was founded now, 22 years ago. And it was the dream of our founder, Mr. Ron Simon, who is going to be celebrating his 90th birthday this year, and who still works every day at his office. It was his dream to somehow give back to his community. His grandparents came to this country from Russia many, many years ago, in the 1800s, I think. And so he was a family of immigrants from Eastern Europe when there was war-torn time in Russia. So he grew up here in America and learned the value of hard work. He learned that if he applied himself, if he believed in himself and worked hard, that he could become successful, which he did. Mr. Simon worked very hard, and he eventually started a manufacturing business that built wooden cabinets for many years in Anaheim. And so what he did is he liked to walk the floor of the Anaheim manufacturing business and talk to the workers, learn more about what makes the cabinets tick, right? Because if a piece of wood costs a little bit too much money, your whole business could be in jeopardy, right? So he wanted to see the smallest little details and also meet the people who work for him. And so as he started to get to know his workers, many of whom were of Latino descent, he learned about their kids and how they were aspiring to be the first in their family to go to college. And because he also was one of the first in his family to go to college, graduated from a community college, that's what started the idea of the Simon Scholars Program. So one day he decided, I've become a successful man, I'm gonna get some money together, find students who are college bound in the Anaheim area, and give them a scholarship. It's pretty good, right? That sounds like a good plan. Seniors, you may have heard this before, and you can just yell it out. If I gave you a check for college and said, good luck, have a good time in college, what could go wrong if you've never been to college? Nobody in your family has been to college. I'll take somebody to raise their hand, and you just have to talk very loud. If you just had money to go to college and nothing else, and it's the first time you've ever done that, what could possibly be problematic?
Well, things like financial aid that like being confusing because yes, you have this money, but like
Yeah.
how do you go about using it most efficiently?
Yep. Financial aid, that's the first one, right? Financial aid, how to pay for college is difficult. And it's not just the cost, it's the paperwork and the processes, right? Hello? Oh, sorry. I'm gonna walk around. What else? I saw another hand over here. Financial aid. Yes. Getting accepted, applying, writing an essay, all of those things, right? So those are probably things the seniors are thinking about right now, right? We're already starting to work on our essays soon of, am I gonna be able to get in? Who can help me? I know when I went to college, my family wasn't able to help me. I was the first in my family. I was the youngest of 5 siblings, and both my parents were from Mexico. And so we didn't have anyone in my family to know how to go to college. And thankfully, Mr. Simon learned that from the people who worked with him, that it's something I want for my kids, but I don't know how to help them. And so that's the beginning of the Simon Scholarship. So Mr. Simon actually did put together an organization and started handing out checks to deserving students. But what happened is in our first class of students, the class of 2005, half of them never graduated college. The other half did, but with difficulty, some, and others were just amazing and somehow figured it out. And so after a couple years of us handing out checks without a lot of that success rate and confidence that we were sending kids off to be successful, Mr. Simon had another thought. He brought his 2 kids, Steve Simon and Dr. Kathy Simon Abels, and they each started a foundation that was a little bit more of the early versions of what you see today, the early Simon Scholars, where we would take small trips. We would help with the financial aid process, pay for SATs and things like that, which I know right now is not as common of a thing. And we started to see more and more of our classes graduate and also become closer to one another. We started to see a community of like-minded and high-achieving individuals who were all the first in their family to go to college. And then that's when we realized that this program could be so much more because of you, because of the students. The money alone isn't what makes you successful, it's what you do with it, and the support, how you take the support that you're receiving from folks like our staff, which I'll acknowledge a little bit later. So the check wasn't enough, and that's what started the Simon Foundation. We now have a scholars program in New Mexico. You may have heard the New Mexico program. We're not a tightly knit, we're sort of separate programs. So we're not gonna see the New Mexico students very often, I can almost guarantee it, but there is a Simon Scholars in New Mexico run by Steve Simon, Mr. Simon's son. But the program that we're all here for and that we care about is the one that Dr. Kathy Simon Abel started. At the time, she was living in Atlanta, and so she started the Atlanta Simon Scholars Program. And that ran for many years. I actually got to visit the Atlanta program many times as a coordinator, and it was a lot of fun. It's a whole other group of students. If you've ever been to the South, it's a whole other type of spicy, but great kids nonetheless. Then when Dr. Abels moved to California, the Atlanta chapter remained, and the San Diego and Orange County chapters started. And that's when we started to create a community within the Southern California region. And for many years, that's the program we had. What changed when Dr. Abels started the program, and she actually was my old boss when I started at Simon Scholars, is that Dr. Abels was a trained clinical psychologist. How many of you are interested in psychology? I'm raising my hand because I was a psychology major. Wow, not a lot, that's interesting. Psychology, when you think of students in terms of behavior, in terms of their development, all of you have different stories, right? And what we noticed is when you start to break down the barriers of what it means to be a first generation, or similar to a first generation, or a low income, or a person of color, or any of those sort of ands that we have in addition to just being students, there are so many barriers, right? And I can tell you, and I've told this to our older students too, the barriers to success don't ever go away, especially when you're a first generation person. And really that's what our leadership symposium is going to kick off the conversation of the first gen experience as it pertains to your whole life, not just while you're going through school. Because I can tell you, even as an older guy like myself in my 40s, the first gen experience still creeps up sometimes. So we want to be able to address that. And that's what Dr. Abels did with her program, is if we look through a lens of psychology, of thoughtfulness, of meaning with our program, then hopefully our students will re-embrace that and come out even stronger than they did before. Okay? So that's what the Simon Scholars Program is now, is dealing with the unfamiliarity of being the first in your family to do a lot of different things, including things you've already done, right? Like get a 4.0 GPA or graduate from high school, which many of you will do for the first time in your families. Now, that comes to me. I'm not going to talk a lot about myself this year, but I worked for the Simon Scholars for 5 years, from 2012 to 2017. And then I got a job opportunity in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I really wanted to push myself, challenge myself. And I hope you all one day get a choice like that. I can either move out of my comfort zone or stay where it's comfortable, where I'm happy and I know what I'm doing. I chose the other option, which is to take a chance and move away from my family, not my actual family, my wife came with me, but my mom and dad and my sisters and everything like that. And I spent 5 years in the San Francisco Bay Area through COVID with a whole other group of students building programs. And then one day, Ben Drutman, who is the grandson of Ronald Simon, who had taken over leading this organization, gave me a call and he said, would you be interested in interviewing for the executive director position at Simon Scholars? And anybody who has worked for a nonprofit or is familiar with nonprofits like Nicholas Academic Centers or all of the other organizations within our area, the executive director is usually the top job. And so for me, as a first generation Latino, to get an executive position was a dream. It was a dream come true. And so I interviewed and I got the job, and I was so excited for that and proud to now be the first Latino executive director of the Simon Scholars Program. I'll wait for just a second. No, not for clapping. That was for the helicopter, but thank you, I appreciate the applause. Now, where Ben and I really got along is he and I both went to graduate school and both now have master's degrees in business. And so he and I also added another element to the program, which is the students are always the most important thing in our program. But we're also a business. We get money from Mr. Simon to do all the amazing things that you see throughout your journey as a Simon Scholar. And we have to be smart with that money. So some of the things I talk about later about behavior and expectations are going to come back to that. That's why I mention it, is that even though we're so happy to do the things we're doing for you all and the cool shirts you're wearing and the lanyards and the yummy food and all the other things you're going to get to enjoy, that there's meaning behind it, right? And that's why it's important. So let's talk about expectations. What do we expect from you? So there are 3 things that I want to talk about. Our organizational values, safety, and respect. So those are the 3 things I'm going to go over. So first of all, very quickly, I'm going to go over the 5 Simon Scholars values. And every time we have a new staff member join, we do a whole talk about the values so that we're all understanding together what it means to be here at the Simon Scholars Program. The first value is relationships. And I'm kind of shortening it. They're actually little paragraphs, but it's just about relationships. So how many of you today have already met a new person? I won't say friend yet, but a new person. Yeah. So you have already begun to expand upon your relationships, right? Honestly, at the core of the Simon Scholars Program, Relationships are it. They are the center of our program, because without the relationships, we're just another program giving scholarships. But we hope when you finish experiences like this 3-day experience, that you will walk away with new relationships, new friendships, new study buddies. I don't know what else. But relationships are one of the most important things about the Simon Scholars Program. We also acknowledge and understand the family roots of our organization. Both the Simon family, who now it's grandson, granddaughter, and grandpa, granddaughter, and daughter and grandson, who have all run this program, and they've entrusted me with it now. But the Simon family is the one who started the organization. So the values that I'm talking about, the expectations that we set for you, are also lined up with the Simon family. They expect the same things from you that we do every day. And so we want to live those values as much as we can. The third is continuous improvement, which is really something I'm going to talk about about our behavior, about our expectations, but always wanting to be better. I can tell you, we made efforts that this leadership symposium was even better than last year's. And those of you who were here last year, I thought it was pretty darn good. So that's what continuous improvement is. Number 4 is lifelong learning. I can tell you many of us in the staff still enjoy to learn new things, even when we're older, when we've graduated from college. And we hope that that's something you never lose, is learning to love learning. Okay, it works now. The last one is that adversity creates opportunity. And that's actually something you've probably seen on our website in a version, but that's one of Mr. Simon's favorite sayings, is that adversity leads to accomplishment. And the reason you are all here is because you have overcome or have experienced barriers, but you're still here, and you're still college bound. You're still a Simon Scholar, belonging to an elite group of people. And just as a reminder, even though this isn't an assembly, we had almost 800 people apply to the program this year, and we selected 200 juniors, so most of whom are here today. So out of 800 applications, 200 were selected. And so it's a very elite group that you're sitting in front of across all of Orange County, and that's why we expect so much from you. And that's the 5th value. Okay, we're going to talk about safety now, and I'm not going to do a whole presentation. That's why I don't have slides. I just want it to come from me to you, since I don't get a lot of time meeting individually with each one of you. But I want you to hear from me what I expect as well. So first of all is safety. If you haven't heard already, we have an on-site nurse here to take care of you. If you're feeling sick or anything other than just something like a Band-Aid that any one of our staff or volunteers can give you, we have a nurse just to make sure that you're feeling okay, that you have medication that you might need to take, or if maybe you're just too hot and you need to take a break and a water break. So that to us is one, physical safety, right? We want to make sure that you're safe. So if you're ever in a situation where you're not feeling that, please express it so that we can make sure you're being taken care of. Please make sure to drink water. You see the water stations at the back. The juniors, do any of you juniors have your new water bottles? Seniors, did you see them? Hold them up high. Seniors, we've got the nice big yellow water bottles now. You all got the blue ones, hope you're not jealous. But that's how to tell those two apart. Make sure those things are full every time. Well, except for when you're drinking them. The second thing is behavior. So if you were to count, we have 330 students here today. 330 high school juniors and seniors. And I'm sure you're having a great time, you're meeting new people, but for the adults in the room, obviously we're outnumbered. Don't get too comfortable with that though, but we are outnumbered. And we have the responsibility of 330 young people, your trusted adults, your parents, grandparents, whoever is taking care of you, they're putting your safety in our hands. And I know you've probably heard that a lot at different trips you've taken, but we really do take that seriously. So when it comes to your behavior, it's not only just being on your best, smiling, opening doors for people, picking up your trash, but it's also showing respect and embracing that you are here to learn and take away something that you maybe didn't have before, in a lesson, in a relationship, whatever it is. We want you to walk away with something. And that means that your behavior really needs to be aligned with that. I want to take a moment, and again, this is one of my more serious moments. There were 2 incidences in the last year that resulted in the immediate termination of a Simon Scholar. One of which happened here last year at Leadership Symposium, and it was on the last day that I had to announce to the whole group, seniors probably remember this, that a student was immediately let go. I'm not going to go into the details, but it relates to the Whova app. So we're going to talk about the Whova app later when you break out into your groups. The app is meant for us to, again, continue the community that we're already starting to build with each other, with staff, making new friends. What the Whova app is not is this anonymous playground for anything that's outside of what we would say is scholarly behavior. So even if you have a small group chat with a few of your friends, basically we can see everything. And so just make sure that you're on your best behavior on the app as well, okay? The DMs is where this student got in trouble, and like I said, he didn't even make it to the end of the last day because of what he did. So that's first example. The second example was also related to electronic communication between 2 students on a college tour. And the college tour, seniors, you should keep this in mind. You have a small group of high school students with a small group of staff traveling to places like New York and Boston. And again, safety is, I can't talk that loud. Safety is the top priority. And so when that exchange happened between those students, same thing. And also people leaving their rooms. That's also absolutely unacceptable when you're not supposed to leave your rooms and it's bedtime. Those types of things, again, for your safety, because we're responsible for you, those are things that could very much lead to your termination as a scholar. And that's really all I want to talk about with that, because it is a serious thing. But I feel like I need to say it again to the seniors, because you were juniors last year, and to the juniors because you're all new, and I want you to at least know that I'm serious, that somebody lost out on a $16,000 scholarship and a lifetime of experiences because of a silly thing to say on an app. Good? Thank you for the head nods. All right. Let me go to a message real quick. Okay, this one's more about money, at least for me. Everybody who has your room key card, just give me a little wave with your key card. Let's see them. Clap them together, bang them on your teeth a little, I don't know. There we go, look how shiny, it's like Christmas. And I can tell you, Veto, if you could even give me a ballpark, how many lockouts did we have last year? 80? 80 lockouts. 80 lockouts. How many lockouts have we had today? 5? We haven't even started yet, folks. 5? 6? Ay, ay, ay. There was one when I came here this morning. This is the one a little bit more lighthearted because it's understandable that you maybe have never used a key card except at a hotel or something. You may lose it, you may forget it. Well, don't lose it. You may forget it. We get charged every time a student is locked out. And if 80 people get locked out, I think it was, what, $10, Veto? So $800 just on lockouts because people are forgetting. So you may hear sort of our motto for this year of the Leadership Symposium is do not forget your keys, do not get locked out. I'm sure it'll happen. It's not like we're gonna come and make your life miserable. It's just that it is very important because what happens is sometimes people who needed to whatever, go to the restroom real quick or I don't know what, open the door for fresh air at night and lock themselves out. So then we actually have to wake someone up who works at UCI. They have to come and unlock your door, and then they charge us for it. So I know that's kind of like dad talking to a kid about how much the air conditioning costs. But again, just for what it's worth, for the Simon Scholars that I know you are, please do your best to be mindful of those types of things, because it is a practice in responsibility. The lanyard that you're wearing is also how we take attendance. So again, going back to safety, we need to know where you are, that you are where you're supposed to be, and that you are accounted for. So again, all the reason to just keep that lanyard glued to you as much as possible. And if you have a roomie, help each other out. As you're about to open the door, it's like key cards, everybody's got their key cards, because then you know you're not gonna get locked out, okay? And I talked about huva. The huva etiquette, again, this is meant for us to understand where you're supposed to be, communicate with each other, and have a fun community, but not to make people uncomfortable, not to make weird remarks, not to be inappropriate in any way, okay? And if we find out, then that's a whole other conversation. All right. Thank you for your patience. I know it's warm. All right. Now we're going to get to respect. Could I have all Simon Scholars staff just kind of stand up and wave? Let's give them a big round of applause, first of all. And then if I could please have our wonderful college and alumni volunteers stand up. Let's give them a big round of applause. Okay, you can sit down now. It's not all about you, volunteers. Now, the staff, you know, what's funny is I realize in the work that we do, sometimes students think we volunteer. This is actually our job. We get paid to do this. We love it. It's one of the best jobs you can ever have, is working with high school students and doing great events like this. But this is also time spent away from our families. The staff is staying in the dorms just like you are. We're eating the same food. We're on probably a more difficult schedule because they wake up earlier, go to sleep later, have to be woken up in the middle of the night if somebody gets locked out of the rooms. I'm not going to let that one go. And so not only do they love being here, they believe in what we do. We live and breathe Simon Scholars for you. And because of that, we ask that you show the type of respect that you would expect from somebody who's giving their all to their job, right? They're just as hot as you are and thirsty as you are. But we're here and we're showing up for you because we want this to be a good experience. And we just ask that you return the favor, okay? Our volunteers, I don't want to get it twisted. A volunteer is an unpaid helper, right? But every one of these volunteers is, was, and will always be a Simon Scholar. They've all been in our program. They've all been through the interviews. They all had to write an essay. They all did interviews. Some of them did interviews with 7 people in the room as high school students just to get selected as a Simon Scholar. Y'all just got 2. So the old cats know what's up. What I will say is they also are deserving of respect. They are also the ones who are going to be in a position of authority if you're acting a little out of line, if you're not following directions, if you're wandering around campus when you're not supposed to. They have the same authority as our staff do in keeping you safe and keeping you having a good time, okay? So if you're getting an instruction from a volunteer, it's just as much as if me or any other staff member is saying, hey, make sure you're here on time. Hey, put the headphones out of your ear while you're in a session, things like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind because, again, our volunteers are working extra hard, and it's just because they love being Simon Scholars, and they want you to have the same experience that they had. Capiche? Capuche. Okay. Now, I'm wrapping up, I promise. Why is all of this stuff, all these rules and regulations and policies and procedure, why is it important? Why am I talking so much? I'm asking myself the same question. Because the point of the Leadership Symposium is a couple things. One, it's called a Leadership Symposium. So what do you think is the most important word other than symposium? Leadership. Leaders show up when they're tired. Leaders show up when they're a little cranky or hungry, and they still step up and they show people who they are. That's part of it. We're going to help you hopefully develop and continue to develop that aspect of your life. The second thing is this, and I hope you like this. I know you kids like the gaming. I know this probably isn't the best controller. I don't know. But it's elevating your leadership as it pertains to one day you're all going to be in the workforce, right? You're going to have jobs like me and all of our other staff, and our alumni have day jobs too. And it's important even now in high school that you start to understand the qualities of a leader and somebody who will be successful and thrive in their work. Hopefully you're going to love what you do. I pray that you do. But you're going to be paid to do a job, right? And I hope you get paid really well. But there are expectations that come with that. And so as a Simon Scholar, we want to make sure that our Simon Scholars, when we say, hey, you know, there's a Simon Scholar I think you should hire at your company. And they say, oh, a Simon Scholar? Oh, sign me up. I want a Simon Scholar to work for me because we want that reputation. But if we have Simon Scholars acting a fool on Hoover, I don't want to hire you, right? Sorry. Okay. I can't talk loud or else I wouldn't use this. So, the expectations of a Simon Scholar are the expectations that you will find as you progress through college and through work. And we're wanting you to level up on those skills. And so we're going to do a lot of different activities with our amazing staff and volunteers that in a fun way will also help develop those skills. Again, it is a leadership symposium. So when you think about being successful in a job that you have, and I want you to yell things out at this point, what types of qualities would you think makes a strong, capable leader in a job? Say it again. Meditation? Dedication. That's better. It's better than meditation. But there is meditation. Dedication, yes. What else? Patience. Excellent. Accountability. That's a big one. Yes. What else? Humility. Oh, triple word score. Okay. What about promptness, timeliness, punctuality? Yeah? If you show up, an hour late to your job every day of your life, how long do you think you'll have that job? Not too long. Unless your job is to be late for some reason, then you're probably doing great. Being on time is a very important one. It may not seem so, especially it's harder to do when you're in high school and have all these other things, but promptness. Discipline, right? Being disciplined, sticking to a schedule, no matter how tired you are tomorrow morning, because you need to get your sleep. But if you are a little tired, we still got to wake up and have breakfast and do our thing, right? So practice those skills while you're here at the Leadership Symposium. And the last one that I think is really important that I didn't hear is building a network. Do you all know what that means? I'm sure you have one now, but we're going to have opportunities for you to practice your networking skills with the seniors, to meet working adults from all different types of industries on our second to last day, and practice how to talk in a professional setting. So that's why these workshops are also important, because you're kind of be practicing leading up to a big sort of meet and greet with people who want to meet you. But it's to practice, to expand the people you know, because those people that you know, like when I left the Simon Scholars and got called back, if I had left Simon Scholars and burned every bridge, no one would have called me back for this amazing opportunity. And I'm glad that I didn't do that. But these little lessons are what I want you to practice in the next few days. Please hold. All right. So, to wrap it up, I want you to spend the next few days intentionally finding ways to have fun. And I know that sounds like the coach at the Pee Wee Soccer League, but I really do. I want you to have fun. I want to see the smiles on your faces. You were all interviewed, and there was something about you that got our attention to say, that is a Simon Scholar. And so we want you to show that off, whether it's with you have a real sparkly personality and we just love to see it, or if you're more of a quiet leader, but you really know how to get things done. Whatever it is, we want to see you shine and take chances that maybe aren't the most comfortable, but that will benefit you no matter what. The second thing, please be safe. And if you could indulge me, how can we practice being safe after all the things that I said? Who can help me out? Don't get locked out. Thank you for naming the most important one. Don't get locked out. Keep your key cards. Be in the areas that you were supposed to be. If you haven't heard already, and I'm not trying to spoil the surprise because you're not going, there's a Starbucks on campus. I don't think we have an agenda item that says, let's all go to Starbucks, right? So please, if we hear that people are just sneaking off going to the student store or Starbucks or across the street at In-N-Out, pack your bags, okay? So please keep that in mind. Be safe. How else can we be safe? Be where you need to be. Don't lock yourself out. Follow instructions, thank you so much, and that is from your staff and volunteers, yes? Be aware of your surroundings. You know how many times I've almost stepped off this stage, but I'm aware enough not to do it just yet. Who else? Back there. Be responsible on the Hoova up. Thank you very much for naming that. My gift card paid people are really paying off now. So who else? Safety. Yes, please drink water, take rests when we have little passing periods, all of those things, okay? Yes. Anything else? Any other way to stay safe? Remind others as well. Yeah, look out for each other. And really that goes for everybody in this, not room, courtyard. Look out for each other. If you see somebody sort of laboring, maybe they're trying to push through, but they look like maybe they need a rest or they need the nurse, look out for each other. And be present. And I know for me to talk up here for an hour isn't the greatest example of being present, because I know it's hot and I'm just talking. It'll really be the only time we're doing this. But be present when we have our workshops, when we have our experiences. It will be fun, but even when we're having a workshop where we're talking with you and we're asking questions and you're raising your hand, be present. So first of all, what I mean by that is active listening. When I ask a question and the entire audience nodded, that's so validating. I love it. So keep doing that. Eye contact. If you're sleepy, and even today I've seen a couple nods, I understand, I'm a little sleepy too. But find ways to get yourself out of that mode, because again, it's a lot of work that went behind these 3 days, and to be falling asleep in a workshop, it's not the best look for a Simon Scholar. So do your best, drink water. If you need to walk around for a minute to wake yourself up, whatever it is, practice those things. A new one that came about, I think, during college tours is the AirPods, or any sort of hearing devices for music and things like that. I know that's sort of a everyday thing now to have headphones in, but please, while you're in a workshop, while people are talking to you, things like that, be fully present, which means no headphones, no doodling on a notepad that you're not even listening. Again, a lot of work went behind this for you. And so we want to make sure that you're showing the proper attention to all of our guests, okay? And lastly, I want you to create connections, as I mentioned, with each other. Even seniors, I'm sure you haven't met almost 200 seniors, right? So again, challenge yourself to meet new people. Ask where they're from, not like a cholo, but like, what school are you from? Not like where you from, because we don't want any fights. And also with your staff and the volunteers. The one thing I didn't mention about the volunteers is they all have either finished college or they're still currently in college. So ask some questions. Mickey, where's Mickey? Mickey got a master's and a bachelor's from USC. Alan graduated from UCI right here, right? Right there, back there. Zot. Areli went to Chapman, right? Chapman University. And then everybody else. Actually, Lisa and I went to the same college though, Cal State San Bernardino, so yeah. My point is, if they're an alumni and working, ask about what they do. Even if it's not the thing that you want to do, learn about their journey. Did they change their major? Did they drop out because of some reason? Did they do an internship? Were they the first in their family to go to college? All of the things that you would hopefully want to know. You have staff and volunteers who can answer those questions, and it's an opportunity for you to get to know someone. Just a little icebreaker. Hey, what school did you go to? They all went to a Simon Scholar High School, by the way, so there's another opening opportunity. So create connections, all right? And before I wrap up, I have one more little thing, and it's a surprise for a staff member. Because all this time we're talking about workplace, right? Being the best that you can be at your job, at school, as a first-generation person. That's all the things that we want for you. And we're lucky enough to have a dedicated staff who does the exact same thing every day, is showing up for you. There's one person whose anniversary happens to be today, and she is one of our longest-standing Simon Scholars staff. She's our marketing manager. Her name is Jasenia Sanchez, and we wanted to just bring her up and acknowledge her. Come on, higher, more. Is it really? You could just say hi and thank you, and that's it. You don't have to say a speech.
You want to say anything?
No,
it's
you don't
okay.
have to say anything, yeah. I put her on the spot. She says thank you, but 6 years she's been with the Simon Scholars Program. So let's give her another round. All right, now with that, I will stop talking. As I said, you're not going to see me in a lot of the presentations. Our wonderful staff is doing all of that. But I would love an opportunity to get to know as many of you as I can. I'm also, like I said, a first-generation graduate. So if you just wanted to know my own journey, why I chose the school I went to, the degrees that I have, or whatever it is, I'm happy to speak to any one of you about your own journeys. So with that, I want to once again welcome you, congratulate you on the new scholars that we have, and our senior scholars who are about to go to college. And we're going to wait for instructions, so stay where you are. And other than that, thank you so much, and again, welcome to the Leadership Symposium.